for the City of New York. Your Honors, the City respectfully requests that the decision of the Appellate Division, First Department, be affirmed. It correctly held that there was no legally actionable claims in the complaint, and that the gist of the complaint, the gravamen of the complaint, is a disagreement with the duly enacted statutes by the legislature, which have been faithfully enforced by the city.
Counsel, if I may interrupt you, I think you're correct in this sense that, yes, if they say, we have a better way of doing this, right? They could say that. We have a better way of doing this. That might not be enough, but they're really saying there's a better way of doing this that this court has perhaps pointed to and said is permissible, and the reason that you have to do something else, whatever you choose, it may not be what they want, is because of the result, the inequalities, and that is what the city, yes, the city and state can choose to do whatever they want to do, but they can't end up with these inequalities. That's what's prohibited by the Constitution and these statutes.
Well, with respect to the idea of the outcomes, that there is no constitutionally protected right that they've identified that a taxing system, especially one as complex as the one in the state and in the City of New York, that there should be equality of outcomes.
Well, let me ask you this on that. So let's say you've got a house in the South Bronx that's market value, and no one disagrees about the market value. Let's just take the market value. I'll just make up a number, 500,000, and then there's one in, let's say, Chelsea, also at 500,000, that they can end up paying different taxes before caps, before abatements, before all of that, just that number that you come up with. How is that permissible?
Before the caps?
Yes, when you're figuring out I forgot the term, I'm sorry, the taxable amount when you're doing your fractional share, and you come up with a number that's the assessment.
Well, maybe I'll just...
Wow. It's clear that this judge does not understand the system. She literally said that a house in Chelsea and a house in the Bronx. And the house in the Bronx's market value, which we have to assume she's talking about Class 1 property, and a real a market value, I have to assume that, or even if she's talking about Class 2 property, she didn't say, but let's just assume Class 1 property. So the market value is the real market value, supposedly. And then another one in Chelsea for 500,000 market value. I don't know where you're going to find that one, because it's impossible to find a Chelsea Class 1 property that's $500,000. I mean, they're probably in the 5 million, 10 million, 50, 20 million. So even the question is not clear. But let's say that there is this magical property that would be bought up in a millisecond. If it was selling for 500,000 in Chelsea, right? Or maybe it's I don't know, could have some reason why it's 500,000. Then she asks, how would you using the fractional share, and they just happens to have different property taxes, but you cannot ignore the caps. The reason why it has a different property tax is because of the caps. Because in 1981, when this system started, they all had assessed values. And the properties, some of them had assessed values back to 1890. And according to John Procida, and I don't have facts about this because I don't know, but he said in 1980, the properties in according to what he wrote and said, is they were assessed when they were built, and that was it. Never changed. I somehow find that hard to believe, but let's say that this property in Chelsea was assessed in 1981 at a low number, and the Bronx also was assessed at a low number, but they were different numbers. And then you put in the cap, right? And that's what S7000A and what they're calling some other law, and but it ends up being laws in the books, right? In the New York State law and real estate property tax law, and it affects New York City. They're going to have different values because they started at a different value. The assessed values were probably not identical. That's the reason. So the question, it appears that the judge hasn't looked at the real system, right? That's what it appears to me. So I'm going to peace out here and listen to this.